So after 60 days of cricket, it all boils down to this in terms of just the one-day series. It's the final one-day to be played at the iconic Melbourne Cricket Ground, India versus Australia, to decide who takes the honours as far as the ODI series is concerned. Remember, this could also be the first time that India has a complete series whitewash as far as the tour to Australia is also concerned. If you look at the form, probably India go in as the favourite, but if you look at the math, it could be Australia that hold the edge. Joining me, Ajit Agarkar, Brad Hodge, two gentlemen who have fond memories of this ground. Ajit, of course, has registered his best bowling figures, ODI figures here at Melbourne. We'll come to it a little later in the show. Brad, of course, is a local of the host city today, and he can call the MCG his backyard for all you like. Amount of cricket that he's played there at the iconic ground, as I said. Okay, Ajit, we'll start with you. Hearing that Vijay Shankar is going to be making his debut, you thought that was an expected change for India?
Yeah, they needed a six bowler. I mean, I'm sort of guessing. We don't know yet, but I'm guessing that it would be for. Looks like it would be for Raidu, unless they've left a seamer out, which could be possible. But if it's for as a six bowling option in place of Raidu, I think it's a good change because five bowlers sometimes, with the way the rules are, with five fielders in the ring, two new balls, if there are two set batsmen, can be difficult to stop. So. Sixth option was important, and if that is the case, then it's a good selection.
Okay, you talk about it could be for Raidu, but then the other way of looking at it is probably the first match, and even the match after that, the Indian batting really hasn't lived up to the expectation. With that in mind, would you want to tinker with the batting and reduce the batsmen?
But Raidu looked like he was struggling anyway in both those games. I think he looked a little bit off the pace with the bigger grounds. I think different sort of pitches. In India, he looked completely different to what he looked in these two games in Australia. So it's not like he's in red hot form that you're leaving him out. If that is the case, I think we'll have to wait and see if it is for Raidu. But if, like I said, if that is the case, then I think it's a good change. Plus, you want to try. I don't know, this absurdity with Hardik Pandya and KL Rahul on at the moment. It's pretty ridiculous what's happening really. You don't quite know what's going to happen with them, so you'd rather have another option that you can look at, just in case this silliness continues about Hardik Pandya.
Interesting you talk about that Hardik Pandya issue, because now it's gone to the Supreme Court. We don't even know now. I mean, at one point it was looking like one match, two match. It could now even extend to the World Cup. Who knows? But Brad, would you want to hazard a guess? We don't know who Vijay Shankar is going to replace in the team. Would it be a batsman in Raidu or a bowler in Siraj? What would your guess be?
Yeah, I sort of think that I go along with Ajit there. It might be Rayudu, just mainly because he hasn't got going yet in this series, and I think the form of Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli and also MS Dhoni will probably give the Indian team a lot of confidence to know that they can fill that void. And also, Vijay Shankar can bat as well, so can Jadoo. So there's plenty of options there with the bat that we haven't seen so far.
Okay, it could be Raidu, as both our experts are saying. He could be out. Vijay Shankar coming in his place. But that thing is really confirmed. He's already got his ODI cap, so he will be making ODI debut. But the other way of looking at this particular scenario is, what would it do to the Indian batting lineup, which at the moment hasn't looked in great shape? This is Shikhar Dhawan talking about the form of Rohit Sharma, his own personal form, and then MS Dhoni also striking it big in the last ODI.
Yep, absolutely. It was great to see a good team performance in the last game, especially, and Dhoni bhai performing well in both the games. And it's good to we are very happy that Dhoni bhai, getting his touch back, and because his stature, of a player of his stature, and the way his presence or the way he plays the game with so much of experience, so much of calmness, gives so much of confidence to the other end batsmen as well. And it is very important for us. Even Dinesh played a great knock in the last game. So good thing is we got all fit players as well as very mature players, very experienced. So that makes us a strong batting unit. रोहित के साथ बैटिंग करना अब तो इतने सालों से बैटिंग कर रहा हूँ तो नॉर्मल है और बड़ा अच्छा लगता है, कंफर्टेबल है. दोनों को पता है क्या करना है क्या नहीं करना, और कोई बोलने की ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ती. ऑटोमेटिक मोड पे चलते हैं दोनों और हंसते खेलते रहते हैं. एक कामनेस है, पीस है. कोई मतलब एक होता है ना कि भाई जब पता है कि है बंदा वो खड़ा है. हार्दिक जब टीम में रहता है तो एक जो बैलेंस क्रिएट होता है वो हमारी टीम के लिए बहुत अच्छा स्ट्रॉन्ग बैलेंस रहता है. इवन जब केदार खेलता है तो वो जो जितने भी ओवर वो डालता है ऑफ स्पिन के, हमारे को बड़ा फ़ायदा रहता है और एक एक्स्ट्रा एज रहता है. और इवन आई वुड से कि केदार हमारा गोल्डन आर्म है. जब भी वो आता है वो विकेट ज़रूर लेता है. कितनी बार ऐसा हुआ है कि पार्टनरशिप चल रही है और वो आया और उसने वो पार्टनरशिप ब्रेक कर दी. एंड वी हिटिंग द राइट एरियाज अगेंस्ट हिम, नॉट मेकिंग हिम not giving him singles that easily or even boundary options. So once you create that pressure to a batsman, it's then, especially in limited overs, that batsman gonna do something extra or take more risk to rotate the strike or to score more runs, and that's where we grabbing the opportunity.
As Shikhar says there, he's kind of happy that MS Dhoni is striking it back as far as form is concerned. But the other thing to look at the moment is his own form. Shikhar Dhawan hasn't looked the Shikhar Dhawan that we are accustomed to seeing in the first two ODIs that we saw.
It looked good in the second one though. I mean, got a good start, was aggressive. We know Rohit likes to take his time early on in his innings, maybe the first 3 or 4 overs. So actually the combination works really well. Yeah, and I would like Shikhar Dhawan to maybe it's his turn tonight. To go on and get 100. Virat and Rohit have already got one each in the first two. Not really concerned yet about his form. I think you can see those numbers. I mean,
And so we were talking about, looking ahead to the World Cup, things that India really need to sort out. But this is one thing that you wouldn't worry about. I mean, this is signed, sealed, delivered, right? The opening partnership.
I mean, top 3 are the reason that India is such a formidable one-day team. I think the amount of games that, those guys have contributed or put India in winning positions or won the games for India over the last 2 and 3 years is, like I said, is the reason that India is as good as they are in one-day cricket. And their bowling unit. I mean, Bumrah's a key guy who's missing. But otherwise, 2 or 3 of the bowlers or 4 bowlers, the 2 wrist spinners and Bumrah and Bhuvaneshwar Kumar have been really good. So that's why they're such a good team. Shikhar Dhawan would like to get some more runs. Probably hasn't had as much cricket as he would have liked over the last 2 months. But looked good in that second one day. So I don't think it's a big concern yet anyway. I mean, if low scores continue, then he might, or Indian team might be a little bit worried. But at this point, he looked good in that second one day when he got going.
Sure, we're just talking about the 2 one-days that have just happened. But if you look back at 2018, he's had a great season overall if you take a look at it. But just this particular season, that's 2018-2019 is where, if you see the last 8 matches, is where he's not got his run averaging not even 20 at that moment. 19.87 is what he averages. The first 13 matches, of course, averaged 64. But I was looking at the overall record as well. Ajit, up until now, throughout his career, he's always been up there, averaging more than 40. This entire season he's close to 20.
I mean, you can go through a little rough patch. Hasn't played a lot of test cricket, so sometimes doesn't play domestic cricket or hasn't played this year at least for his state team Delhi. So maybe there's a little bit of gap in active cricket, but like I said, I don't think. I mean, he looked good in that second one day. First one day got a really good ball from Berendorf. First up, full, missed it. So not yet. I mean, he'd like a few more runs just for his own confidence, but looked fluent in that second one day. So won't be too worried. I think that those top 3 can look after themselves quite well.
Brett, Ajit mentions that Shikhar has a different style to that of Rohit. Rohit likes to take his time and then get his run. Shikhar usually is the aggressor right from the word go. But would you like him to change that, at least for the moment, considering that lean patch that we were just talking about? Maybe change that a little. He looked good in the second ODI, as Ajit mentioned. Maybe spend a little bit more time on the crease. Once he gets those runs going, maybe get back to that old style of his, which is to attack right from the start.
Well, he did, but I think one of the things which is really good to see is that his strike rate is still high. So it means that he's striking the ball well, even though he's getting out. So he might not be yielding the consistent big runs, but he's still making an impact in those first 4 or 5 overs, take the initiative, against the opposition bowlers. Look, one of the things, I wouldn't worry too much about Shikhar Dhawan when he came out and played these T20s before the Test series. The way he struck the ball, I thought the selectors may even say, just stay here, buddy. We're not sure about this selection of a few. So his form was outstanding. So it's only a matter of time before he fails. And I think that Shikhar Dhawan-Rohit partnership is one that many bowler fears around the world.
Right. Okay. Do you think you mentioned that briefly? Is it just a coincidence that we're seeing all the guys that he played in the Test matches doing rather well in the ODI, and that's one reason maybe Shikhar's taking time to really get going. He's not been playing Test cricket, not been playing first-class cricket, as you mentioned too.
Possibly. I mean, Brad mentioned it in the first one day. Sometimes it's not just easy to just come straight to Australia and get going. Some guys do. And at the top, when you're trying to be aggressive, you got a really good ball that first one day. You know, just full. When you're not set, you can miss those. Second one day he looked a lot comfortable. But you're right. I mean, everyone needs a bit of cricket just for some sort of fluency, whether it's a bowler to bowl a few overs or match practice coming into any sort of series is important. Unfortunately, he hasn't had that. But I don't think it's a bigger worry. It's MS has got 250s in spite of not having played any cricket. Raidu probably is the only one who stands out, who struggled in both the one days. But Shikhar's looked good in the second. So they've got 5 one days in New Zealand and 5 at home against Australia. So 10 more to go. So that's plenty of cricket before the IPL. And
Okay,
then the
just
World
getting news there from the MCG. The toss has finally happened. Of course, it was delayed a bit because of some rain that happened early morning. India have won the toss, and surprise, surprise, they decided to bowl first. One thought they might just bat because we've had 2 games just now with Australia batting first. And since India is trying a lot of things going into the World Cup, you would have expected them to bat.
Could be the conditions. Bit of rain around, maybe the wicket's been under covers. You could get a little bit of help with the new ball. I can't think of any other reason. Look, India's chased well. I mean, of course, the top three have had to do the bulk of the work. But India's been a good chasing team. So I think looks like they've gone back to the. I think it's probably the conditions which have dictated what's happened at the toss.
Brad, no one knows MCG probably as well as you do. You think that's a good call then, looking at with the rain that we've had in the morning, the bigger boundaries, the conditions on offer to chase here?
Yeah, I don't think the rain will do much effect to the overall wicket or the pitch. I think it's just the fact that India are completely comfortable with chasing down a target. They know that anything under 300 for them is an achievable target, and I think they can feel that they can actually do even better with the ball and restrict Australia to a lesser target. So also batting under lights in Melbourne is actually quite nice. The ball seems to come on a little bit quicker than in the daytime. So, shot scoring is really good. It's hard to defend because the boundaries are so big. So there's a lot of twos and the Indian side's so fit. But having said that, though, runs on the board could be crucial for Australia. If they can post a good total, the series is on the line. It's not easy to chase down and win a series, when the pressure's on.
The other thing, I don't know, I haven't had a look at the weather. Brad might know better, but if there is a bit of rain around, you're better off chasing. Any sort of shortened game. Then you can, the target and you're well in control of it.
Knowing Melbourne weather, I don't think even Brad, a local, can really predict what's going to happen. I was just watching the Australian Open and it was bright and sunny, players sweating, and then the next moment you had rain and you had to close the cover. Brad, just talking about Australia going to be batting first, there's one trend that we've seen with them in the first 2 ODIs that they've played. They failed to really kick off towards the end, like 280, 290. Would you see them crossing that 300 mark? Is that something that they have their eyes on? Because, looking ahead to the World Cup, that's what everyone's looking ahead to. You would get games with 300 plus, probably the norm there.
Yeah, well, the only way that's going to happen, I reckon, is if Aaron Finch fires at the top and maybe bring Glenn Maxwell up the order a fraction. But, Justin Langer hasn't said that that's going to happen anytime soon. But we desperately need to get some runs, some firepower out of Aaron Finch. If he gets going, he bats for 20 overs, then you know that you're going to be projected towards that 300 score. The middle order's done very well. Usman Khawaja, Sean Marsh, Peter Hanscom as well. So that seems to be settled. They're not aggressive style of cricketers. They're accumulators, but great stroke makers as it is. But we certainly need to find some firepower out of our captain, Aaron Finch. If we do that, we'll certainly get to those 300 marks.
Okay, for those of you who are just joining our broadcast, here's a quick update. India won the toss, decided to bowl first. Here is the Indian playing 11. 3 changes for India. Kuldeep Yadav is out. As I we are talking about it. Chahal takes his place in the playing 11. You've got Ambati Raidu out, and we thought that Vijay Shankar would be coming in his place, but it's Kedar Jadhav actually who's also come in. And then Mohammad Siraj is out, and you've got Vijay Shankar making his ODI debut. There you go. I've got answers to all your questions. We were debating about whether it be Raidu, Siraj. They made a lot of changes. Seems like, it's the World Cup that's on their mind more than just this particular series.
Yeah, I mean the batting's got more depth now with Vijay Shankar, the 7th guy, Ravindra Jadeja 8th, and Bhuvaneshwar Kumar 9. Really, they still have 6 bowling options. Kedar Jadhav can do a job. Whether he can do it away from India, we'll find out now.
Yeah.
But Vijay Shankar is more a batter who bowls than the other way around. So I think it's more that 5th and 6th bowler that they need. I don't think Vijay Shankar by himself can be a third seamer yet in any case. So they've had to possibly do that if they had to leave one seamer out. Yeah, interesting. Maybe that's why they've decided to chase as well.
Yeah.
Batting's a lot stronger on paper at the moment than bowling is.
It is, of course, on paper looks like 6 bowlers now with Jadhav and Vijay Shankar coming in. But you really, these are 4 bowlers and then 2 halves put together, still boils down to literally 5 bowlers.
Yeah, not sure. I mean, both Khalil and Siraj have got 1 game each. I mean, it could be tough on either of them. I mean, if you're looking to, we don't quite know how the conditions might play. Might be a little bit slower, like Brad said at the start. Might not come onto the bat enough. So maybe that's where Kedar Jadhav could have an impact. Chahal, I'm happy Chahal's playing. I don't know whether Kuldeep's carrying an injury or he's just been rested. But yeah, the bowling definitely looks weaker. Siraj didn't have a great game, nor did Khalil. But if you start to pick teams on one game, it could be quite difficult for players. So I would have liked either of them to have another game at least.
Brad, what do you make of the Indian 11? I mean, you do get those all-rounders. It makes the batting stronger, but the peril of that is that your bowling then kind of looks weak. We saw it in the last game. Siraj went for a few runs. You didn't have the 6th bowling option. Now you've got 6 bowlers, but then 2 of them are just part-timers.
Yeah, I would have stuck with the pace of Siraj actually. Just with the large square boundaries at Melbourne, it's probably better for fast bowling. Where Adelaide, it's beautiful spur of the wicket. It's 50 metres either side, so it doesn't really suit fast pace someone like that. But I think that MCG does. I don't think that the part-time spin of Kedar Jadhav's going to upset too many people. But he'll play a role. He's a pretty versatile cricketer. He's a good cricketer. But still that 6th bowling option or 5th bowling option is somewhere where the Australians certainly have to exploit, and that gives them an opportunity to score 300 plus in this game if they're good enough.
Interesting, he talks about, could that be the thought process, those bigger boundaries, have slower bowlers than really your fast bowlers? Of course, Bhuvaneshwar you would definitely go with, and so will you go with Shami, but the rest could be those slower bowlers that get you those catches.
They've obviously gambled on that because it's big boundaries. Like I said, we haven't seen Kedar Jadhav do what he does in India with the ball yet away from India as much. We'll wait and find out if he can have an impact. And Vijay Shankar's more of a batter than a bowler. So, I think the bowling is definitely weaker than it would have been. You still want your...
Since you're talking about Vijay, you're saying, more of a batsman than a bowler. And this is his list A career. If you take a look at that, he gets you plenty of runs, averaging 37 there. But it's the wickets column, which you'd say probably what...
it doesn't look too bad, but having sort of followed him over the last this season, I know it's 4-day cricket, but doesn't bowl a lot for Tamil Nadu. Used to, I don't know, for some reason hasn't this season, or in a couple of games at least that I watched, didn't. So in a debut game, I just feel it's tough on someone like a Siraj or even Khalil to just be left out. I mean, someone making a debut, tough game in Adelaide. Really good pitch. Came up against Sean Marsh, who looked in great nick. To be left out, it's a little bit harsh. I know you're trying to make the best of the situation because Hardik Pandya is not there to try and make the balance right. Have enough batting depth, but also have a 6th bowler. But you'd rather go with a genuine bowler than sort of mix and match a little bit.
Interesting how we're talking about this being this experiment looking ahead to the World Cup. But then if India go on to lose this particular match, the knives will be out because this is the series at stake at the moment. 1-1 because the first two matches, one won by Australia, then the other one by India. Let's quickly take a look at the Australian playing 11 as well. One change we definitely knew Adam Zampa would be coming in, and Billy Stanley also comes in place of Behrendorff because he had a bit of an issue with the back, as we are told, and then Zampa has been outstanding. Let me get Brad your thoughts on Zampa. I believe he's been in great form, playing in those Big Bash leagues, all the T20 leagues that he's been playing. So he was the one to look out for.
Yeah, I think I said a couple of games ago that I thought he should be first picked in this 11, only because, you know, when he plays, he's such a good cricketer and he takes wickets. He's got a good presence about him. You know, Nathan Lyon was an experiment which didn't work, so you know, good to see that Adam Zampa comes back in, and hopefully they'll push forward with him, you know, to become our #1 spinner in the World Cup, because I think he's got some ability. He'll challenge stumps of the Indian, and also he's got pretty good for me. So I think it's a pretty good package.
Zampa, of course, comes in, and you've got Nathan Lyon going out. What has changed from the Test series to now? He was their go-to bowler. Of course, the ball has changed. Yeah, from the red cherry to the white. But what else has changed for him?
Not sure. I mean, one of the things I felt, I thought the mindset was a lot defensive in one-day cricket. I mean, I know it's tough for finger spinners, but I thought a lot of round-the-stump bowling. I mean, the amount of times he beat the Indians in flight in the Test matches. I know sometimes the ball doesn't, like you said, the ball's different. It's not the same. But I would have still liked to have seen him bowl a little bit more attacking. You know, just bowling round the stumps, even though it's a good pitch. But I mean, and Zampa, you can see it's you know, sort of youngish career, but impactful. You know, any good wrist spinner will create chances, create pressure in the middle of the innings. There's always a little bit of a risk taking a wrist spinner on. Yeah, I was quite excited when not excited, but I was happy that they gave Nathan Lyon a go. But having seen the two games,
this is his record versus India, with an economy closing in on 7 and an average of 47. Not something.
It'd be interesting to see whether it's in India or in Australia. So
Correct. Also, I think this was that initial phase where he wasn't in the form that he is at the moment. It'll be interesting to see how well he performs.
Because in India, I mean, the scores are usually well over 300 these days. But even so, I mean, now with the confidence that he's got 30 odd games, a bit more experience really. Better selection than Nathan Lyon from what we've seen on those two games from Lyon.
But as Ajit was saying here, Brad, that he would have liked to see Nathan Lyon play a bit more as well. If you really wanted to give that confidence to the off spinner, would MCG be a good place, you know, with the bigger boundaries that we were talking, maybe bring that confidence back into Lyon and could have given another go in this game?
I think we've seen though that you know, Test match cricket, the versatility of a lot of white ball cricketers now, you know, is outstanding in the short ball. You know, we've seen the way that people bowl differently. We've seen the success of Brunel Bandia and stuff like that in T20s and challenging the stumps. And I just don't think Nathan Lyon is the same bowler in one-day cricket as he is in Test match cricket. When you've got, you know, protection out in the field, and also you've got a slip bat pad and a bat pad on the onside, and you've got 100 overs or 90 overs to bat. It's a lot different than scoring, just milking it into the onside. So, different proposition. I would have liked to seen him try and take a lot more wickets than being defensive, but you know, that's the conundrum that we've had. So in the past, a lot of the selectors said that they didn't want to take away from Nathan Lyon's success as a Test cricketer and change his bowling into a one-day cricketer. But I think you could have done it, just that now it's a fraction too late.
Yeah, no, I didn't say you should have played more. I think from what we've seen in the 2 one-days, I think Zampa should be playing. I mean, if he is going to be a lead spinner in the World Cup, as much as he can leading up to that. I think we saw limitations from Nathan Lyon in those first 2 one-days. I agree with Brad. I mean, if you're going to play him, then you try and use him as a wicket-taking bowler, not someone who's going to come in the middle of the innings and bowl defensively.
Which sometimes one-day cricket doesn't allow you that luxury to be as aggressive that you can be in Test cricket. But talking about bowlers making a comeback, Adam Zampa was saying he's really improved in the last few years or so as far as bowling performance is concerned. The other one for India has been Mohammad Shami. He was out of the ODI team, made a return, and he's been fantastic. He's taken that from Test cricket into ODI cricket as well. And you take a look at this is the best bowling averages for India, and these are just SENA countries that we're looking at, a minimum of 50 wickets, and he's right up there if you take a look at that, ahead of the likes of Kapil Dev, Zaheer Khan and Roger Binney. Also his bowling style, it kind of suits these SENA countries. If we're talking about the swing that he gets is eventually the result of that.
Yeah, no, I think he's just got wicket-taking ability. You can see, 25 games, 50 wickets, that sort of impact. I think, in my opinion, early on he was unfairly criticized for going for a few runs, but that's just the nature of one-day cricket these days. You've got to see his strike rate. He's going to be the quickest 100 quickest to 100 wickets for an Indian sooner or later. So tells you how many times he brings you back in the game. And at the moment, after his Test form, he was bound to bowl well. I've seen a lot of the times, if you had a good Test series, had enough bowling, had good performances, had wickets, the confidence level is high. You
asked for it, and our producers delivered. You said the fastest 200 wickets, and he's just 3 short there, Mohammad Shami, and this is the list of fewest matches to 100 wickets for India, and a certain Ajit Agarkar also features there. Irfan Pathan leads the pack with 59. You've got 65 for Zaheer Khan, Ajit there with 67, and Mohammad Shami. But looking at those numbers, they look incredible. But then he's always been under a radar. He's not quite your Bumrah, he's not been your Bhuvneshwar Kumar, the one who's been spoken about as far as one day cricket
I
is
don't
concerned.
think anyone can be Bumrah at the moment. So it's hard to compare Bumrah to anyone. But like I said, you look at his career and he's always got wickets for India. It's always been a little bit of stop-start. 54 games, 97 wickets. That average is incredible. The strike rate's very good. And that's what you want. And especially with the rules that are there, most teams bat deep. You want to keep pick wickets regularly, and you need guys, and he does that. He produces wicket-taking balls, and with the form that he had in Test cricket, it was bound to make an impression in this one-day cricket, because you've had so much bowling, the rhythm's so good, the confidence is there. You can come and put the ball where you want in one day cricket.
Just going back on Mohammad Shami, there was this one time, with all the personal problems that he was having, and you really didn't know whether he's going to make that comeback. Not just the performance on the field, but to have overcome all of that to give the performance that is incredible, seems like.
Yeah, incredible. And for a period of time, he was suspended from the central contract list, which I thought was a bit harsh when someone's going through such a tough times. And I'm glad, because the ability that he has is second to none in this bowling setup that India have, whether in one-day cricket or in Test cricket. And I'm glad he's worked hard and used that as a push to get better. And over the last season, we've seen whether it's England or India or South Africa, he's been one of your best bowlers. So I'm glad, because there's so much ability. It would have been a shame to have just fallen off on the sidelines.
So we're talking about Brad, taking your performance from Test cricket to one-day cricket. We spoke about not how everyone is suited to the two formats. Mohammad Shami there, clearly an exception at the moment. The way he's transitioned from the Test series now to the ODI series.
He's been outstanding, and I love the way that he's adapted his game. It's probably started from England. I think the success of the bowling unit from India's transgressed on to Australia, and now we've seen someone who looks to be at the top of his game, understands what he's trying to do. I think when he ever played, IPL or one-day cricket in his early career, was either full or short. I think now he hits a perfect. So for me, I question, the Australians as to why Stark, Hazelwood and Cummings are not their form in Test series into this one-day game as well. We've seen the success that Mohammad Shami's going, and we haven't won a one-day series for a long, long time. So we need to get our best players in there, and Mohammad Shami is a great example of showing, what done when you're in good form. You don't want to flirt with what to do. So, well done.
Well, we Kedar Jadhav bowling his underarm deliveries, so that might be on display.
Better action than Raidu though.
Yeah, at least the elbow is straight up. Just staying with Mohammad Shami and his performances. I mean, he's got those wickets in these few matches that he has. But at one time when he just broke into the international scene, did you at that time envision that he could reach that far that he has at the moment?
You don't quite know when somebody starts, but you could see the immediate talent. I think he got a 6 for on Test debut, if I'm not wrong, in Kolkata. And you could see, the ability was right there. First class cricket, I've seen him. I've played against him, in fact, and you could see, this guy had different ability to some of the other guys bowling. You don't quite know how the career pans out. Like you said, went through a really tough patch last year with his personal issues, but he's come out of that even better bowler. So, India's got to have him in the one-day team, almost all the time. But I understand, with so much Test cricket, he gets rested quite a bit. But I've always liked Mohammad Shami the way he bowled.
Okay, now quickly, since we've been talking about all the players that will be playing today, those are the 22 players. We've discussed them at length, but we're going to talk about a player who's not playing, who's sitting in the studio. This is Ajit Agarkar's career profile, and we're talking about this because his best figures in one-day cricket came at the MCG. 6 for 42. I don't want to remind you about the result of the game, though.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's nice to get some wickets, but you remember the games which you actually ended up winning. So, was the first final, I think, in the best of 3.
Yes.
Got lucky to get some wickets, but counts for nothing if you don't win the game.
Yeah. What does a fast bowler need to do to pick up those 6 wickets?
Get a bit lucky. I suppose when you're bowling to a Gilchrist and a Hayden, you need to get a little bit lucky. So no, I think it's changed a little bit now. There was one sort of ball that time, 2 new balls right now. India bowling first, might be a different wicket, who knows, different batters that they are up against. It's still a white ball that you're bowling to a batsman, so you still do the basics right.
Ajit Agarkar, modest as ever. Brad, I think you wanted to come in?
What we're talking about Ajit, I'm just talking about how good it was, and I think his performance in Australia are really good. And the one thing that he mentions is that the 2 balls has made a complete difference because he was a master at reverse swing, and with the absence of Bumrah, who's also a master at that, tailing it into the stumps, it's a sort of a lost art. So I think Jai Richardson could be one that bowls a little bit like Ajit Agarkar, swings the ball away early, challenges the stumps and can slide it in. I think we can see, hopefully he can be our Ajit Agarkar's success today.
Okay, just talking about Australian fast bowlers, I'll just quickly ask you a question about Behrendorff. He's out. I'm sure this is with regards to his back injury more so, and not because of that 6 he got hit for by MS Dhoni.
Yeah, I think he's had some issues. He's had some injury worries over the course of the last sort of 2 to 3 years. So if there is a problem, then it will be something which the management have to look at. But we've got a good replacement in Billy Stanlake. I would have thought it would have been a great chance to bring back Stark, Hazelwood and Cummings, one of those 3, into this game. I think they've had plenty of rest now, and it would have been great to get one of them in with great experience to try and win this series and get Australia winning again. I think that's what we need to do. So I think they missed a little bit of a trick there, but I know that sports scientists have their reasons and so forth. But I'm sure Billy will do well, but he's been a fraction off the pace of late, and I don't think he'll be able to replace how good Behrendorff's been.
All right, okay. Not as quick as you'd expect, Billy Stanlake, but all I know about him is he's the tallest Australian fast bowler to have ever played for the country. Okay, switching focus now to the Indian batting, and let's talk about Virat Kohli. We were talking about landmark. Mohammad Shami, very, very close to a major landmark. So is Virat Kohli, just I think 67 runs short of the leading run scorers in ODI cricket. So this is your 10,000 club, and he'd be getting there. I think he's 67 runs short of guess who? Brian Charles Lara. And look at the number of games compared to Lara.
You compare the number of games to anyone when it comes to one-day cricket, and the average and the number of conversion, or the conversion rate of hundreds, it's just ridiculous. I mean, I think that number is only going to keep going up. There's only one way. I mean, gets hundreds for fun. It's shouldn't be so easy to get hundreds in international cricket as he makes them look. No, and just does it so comfortably when the pressure's on in chases. You look at those numbers. I mean, it's only a matter of time where he's on that first page that we saw initially. So no surprise really. What he's done over the last 4 or 5 years, and that's the phenomenal part of it. To do it for as long as he has done, as consistently as done, and how prolific he's been.
Hazard a guess, it's going to happen today?
Yeah, I won't put past it, especially because India is chasing now. I mean, India, depending on how much Australia get, the more Australia get, the better chance there is of Virat Kohli going and scoring another 100. But looked in great touch. Even that first one day, Richardson bowled well to him up front. One of those things, flicked one straight to square leg. But in the second game, you could see when Raidu got out, and there was a little bit of pressure on how easily he just switched gears. And scored quickly in that little partnership with Dhoni. So, yeah, what else is there left to say about Virat Kohli?
Oh, true. We can keep talking about him because he keeps scoring run, that man, especially in one-day cricket, especially in chases. Okay, we're getting plenty of questions for those of you who are watching us on YouTube as well as Facebook. We've got a question now from Facebook, and we'll take that question now, and maybe Ajit can take that one. It's from Mayur. He wants to know how harsh is this on Kuldeep, and how does Chahal playing with Jadeja help, especially with so many left-handers in the Australian team?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's got to do with the batting. I'm still not convinced that's the best 4, 5, 6 that India have. That's why and the 6 bowler, both. They had to mix and match it a little bit. So Vijay Shankar comes in as all-rounder. Kedar Jadhav, you don't quite know whether Kedar Jadhav can give you as many overs as he maybe does in India. Lots of questions. I think one, Hardik Pandya sort of not being there has disrupted. Ideally, both the wrist spinners should play. Kuldeep's had a lot of bowling as well over the last test, and then the couple of one days he's bowled well. Maybe they want to definitely play Chahal, and this was the best possible replacement. I don't think they've sort of dropped Kuldeep. I can't imagine that. At some stage when Hardik Pandya hopefully sooner rather than later comes back, they'll play both wrist spinners.
Okay, we're going to have the first ball being bowled very, very shortly. So quickly, let me run you through our special segment. This is Fab 4. This is sort of a fantasy league that we play with our expert. Quickly, the rules here. Each run by the player gets you 1 point, 50 runs, 10-point bonus, and then 100 runs get you a 20-point bonus. Each wicket by a player, 20 points. 3-wicket haul gets you 10, 5-wicket haul, 20 bonus points. Bowler with the best economy for the day gets those 20 additional points. It's a change from the test Fab 4 that we used to play, where actually strike rate got them those points. Each catch, direct hit, run out also gets you 10 points. A joint effort in a catch or a run out, 5 points each. Experts with the most points at the end of the day is the winner. Okay, Ajit Agarkar, Brad Hodge, time now to make your selection.
God,
Ajit,
really?
start
That
with
time
you.
of the day is it again? So just go with form players, I guess. Or has Marsh scored his 100 already? I'll go with Sean Marsh.
Marsh, okay.
Sean Marsh, Mohammad Shami. Actually, no, Chahal, sorry.
Chahal,
go with Richardson. And who's left? Go with Rohit Sharma again.
Rohit Sharma. Okay. No Virat Kohli, I see.
Well, I mean...
Okay, yeah. You're playing the averages. You're playing the averages. Really smart. Okay, Brad, your turn.
Yeah, I'll go Aaron Finch, Virat Kohli, Usman Khawaja, and Shikhar Dhawan.
Okay, you've got no bowlers there. You expecting it a 300 plus match, are you?
I'm hoping so, yeah. That's what I'm banking on.
Okay. With those big boundaries that you have, it's going to be really, really tough for any team to get 300 plus. But I also remember, the World Cup game, India-Bangladesh playing. That was a high-scoring game too. Okay, these are the venue stats for MCG. The last 5 matches, team batting second have won 4 of the 5 matches. That answers the question when I was talking to you about who is or why is it that India decided to chase. The average first inning score is 253. That, I mean, if it just gives you a clue, Brad's not winning this Fab 4. Pacers average 33.27, while spinners are averaging 44. Okay, so it's of course a ground that fast bowlers have done well. Plenty for Mohammad Shami to look forward to, but not so much Chahal, which Ajit has gone with. Quick word from you. India, what last 3 games at MCG they've lost? Can they break that duck now?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the two teams, India was favourites going into this series. Australia have competed well, beaten them in that first one, second one really close one. So Australia's playing at home. I always prefer runs on the board in a decider, but India do chase well. So it's a tough one. India wouldn't want Australia to get too many.
Virat Kohli chases really well and he's the captain, so he gets to decide what India will do. Will it be again a master chase by Virat Kohli? But first, it's Australia that's batting. The first ball is about to be bowled. Ajit Agarkar, Brad Hodge, thanks so much for joining us. You were watching ESPN Cricinfo Matchday, brought to you by Maruti Suzuki.